hello, and welcome to this episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. It's I, Sean, along with my normal tag team partner, Ashley, and our very special guest, Kimmy Soko from the Pod Break.
Be here. We're on the road to SummerSlam and WrestleCon and All In. Stephanie Vaquer just signed with WWE. What the hell is happening in wrestling, guys?
Yes, it has been one busy weekend for professional wrestling, but I think where we need to start is from last week's Monday Night Raw. We saw the return of Rhea Ripley and poor Dominic Mysterio. Yes, he got his win over his father. Thank a little help with Liv Morgan. Then dude got caught. Like our troop would say, he got. How can we help this guy out?
He's screwed. He done messed up. There's no helping him. I'm intrigued to see what they do with this. I think that the Liv Rhea match at SummerSlam is going to be one for the ages. I think they've done a wonderful job with this storyline. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, oh, obviously, like Cody's going to main event and stuff like that. But I wouldn't mind seeing this storyline be in the main event picture just because of how prominent the storyline has been over the last couple months.
I do believe this is the best storyline coming out of WWE right now. It's almost on the same level as Mariah May versus Toni Storm in AEW. Do you agree or disagree?
I mean, one of your questions, I'll get to what the better feud's going to be. I think we're forgetting we're in the age of the DMD, but I agree for the most part.
Well, with that being said, why don't we go to the control center to catch everybody up on a very busy weekend professional wrestling news?
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
Okay, so my very first story for you coming up. Stephanie Vaquer defeated Ala Dawn in her debut match for WWE this past weekend in Mexico City. This is literally 2 weeks from the time she had her Forbidden Door match with Mercedes Moné. Later on in the 76 questions, we're going to talk about how this all happened and the backlash that she kind of got from a lot of fans online about her jumping to the WWE.
Yeah, this was a pretty big one. I don't think anyone would have expected 2 weeks ago at Forbidden Door. Hey, Stephanie's gonna go to WWE. Like, don't think anyone would have called that. But they needed a quick, easy match for her. This obviously worked. She's going to NXT anyway, so I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, she defeated a champion in her first match. Guys, she's going to NXT. She's not going up to the main roster. We don't have to worry about anything. Relax. Her and Roxanne are going to have a killer match, which is then going to lead to like Stephanie versus Julia down the line. We're all going to be okay. But yeah, this was pretty cool to see. I know a lot of people said the match was good. A lot of people were excited to see her. So she gets to live her dream. She got what she wanted.
Exactly. So my second news story for you this past week in professional wrestling, up in North Wrestling, which is based off of Newcastle, England, Michael Oku defeated Mark Hassens. And this is a match you can see in 2 weeks on Fight Plus TV, July 29th. From the pictures I saw on Twitter, this was a great freaking match. And Michael Oku is the best talent coming out of Great Britain right now since Will Ospreay has jumped over to AEW.
I'm gonna let Ashley take this one. I feel like this is more her wheelhouse than mine.
I was going to say, he is the man that Ospreay sort of passed the torch along to, so I know if Will Ospreay sees the talent, it's going to become quite obvious to everyone around.
Exactly. And if you haven't seen Will Ospreay versus Michael Oku from Red Pro Wrestling, Will Ospreay's very last match in Red Pro, you need to go check that sucker out. Oh, by the way, there's a video blog that Will Ospreay just put up on this past weekend covering his last few weeks in Japan and Repo. And it's a great freaking video blog documentary. You should check that out on YouTube. So moving over to WWE, weeks of speculations have gone wild. Is Natalya going to WWE? Is she going to go AEW? Natalya has re-signed with the WWE. And honestly, personally, I thought she was always going to go back to the WWE. What do you ladies believe?
I agree. I mean, I know a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, she's gonna go to AEW." I know, like when Jeff Jarrett was announced as like the reinforcer for the Owen, people thought Natalia was gonna be the reinforcer for the woman, but she has so much more freedom in WWE. Like she gets to do the dungeon, and she does get to do all the interactions and stuff with people from different companies that she would do. And I think that TNA is really gonna try to do that Natalia Jordan Grace match at some point on the TNA side, and she wouldn't get to do that if she went to AEW. There was no way in hell she was signing to TNA. It was definitely either AEW or WWE. But yeah, there was no way in hell she was leaving, especially with TJ still there. So happy that she's sticking around to help the youngers.
Yeah,
Exactly.
especially because I mean, outside of like maybe like you said, like a gimmick kind of spot, like doing something with the Owen. I don't know like what the place would be for her. She has a place in WWE. You know, whether that's behind the scenes like coaching or you know, like helping, like you said, the younger generation in the ring.
Yes, exactly. My next story for you ladies. Io Sky defeated Yuma Hanayashi at Marigold Summer Destiny 2024. This was a highly independent, a highly wanted match. I gotta say, Io Sky looked dang good in this match, and I just love the fact that WWE is going worldwide with their talent now.
Yes, things are changing now that we're not in the Vince McMahon era. A lot of good news coming out of the Marigold show. Happy for Io. If you thought that she was going over from WWE and she was gonna lose, y'all crazy. Like that's not how these things work. Io was definitely
Yeah.
winning, but from pictures and clips I saw, this was very impressive. I know Io did like something from her old entrance in Japan. I think like the mask she wore or something like that. It was like for throwback from when she was wrestling in Japan before she jumped over to WWE. But yeah, she looked like she had a wonderful time. Her and AJ just thriving on the Japan side.
Very true. And we can't not leave out Willow Nightingale as she won the vacant CMLL Women's World title on Saturday night. So now Willow Nightingale is a champion in the oldest promotion in North America.
Honestly, Willow for president at this
You
point.
know,
She's
I
had
think
a
it
hell of a
definitely should
year.
have went to Viva Van. This was such a moment. I agree, but I feel like this was definitely Viva's match to win just because I get it. Willow's had an amazing year. She's held titles literally in like every other company and AEW as well. But Viva is like such an up and comer. She's been featured a lot, like when AEW was doing their West Coast run. She was featured a lot on like Rampage and Ring of Honor, and I feel like this is a really big breakout year for her. And I was actually like, oh my god, she might actually win this one. And since it was a triple threat match, she didn't have to pin Willow. She could have pinned the other girl. So I was a little disappointed it wasn't Viva, but you know, Willow's fine, but justice for Viva. Let's get Viva signed. Come on, we just announced like MXM signed with Ring of Honor. Rachel Ellering signed with Ring of Honor. Viva Van should sign with Ring of Honor. Like, come on, Tony.
Very, very true. So my last news story for you, ladies. Sari became the first ever Marigo World Champion after defeating Julia at the same event that Io Sky was at. So I'm expecting Julia to North America and NXT in the very near future.
Yeah, I know that people were saying that since Stephanie appeared on the Mexico City shows, I know that WWE also has Japan shows coming up. So people are like, oh my God, that's where she's definitely going to debut, which makes perfect sense. If not there, I know that NXT also announced their Halloween Havoc show is now a pay per view and it's not just an NXT TV special. So I could see maybe that event as well. But I see Julia's coming our way soon, and I'm excited to see how everything plays out.
Ashley, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, she certainly had the face of somebody who was leaving. She you know, she looked upset but like happy at the same time. So I figure it's sooner rather than later. Maybe this Halloween Havoc is it.
You know, it's a good feeling. I think your Halloween Havoc. They also mentioned that No Mercy. They're doing a NXT No Mercy, and I believe that's September. And the Halloween Havoc is actually October. I can see either one being a possible spot for Julia to land. and Roxanne versus Julia, and one of those two should be the main event.
I think it would. It honestly depends. If Stephanie's going to come over first or Julia's going to come over first, whoever comes over first, that's who Roxanne is losing the title to. It's just a matter of who at this point. And then whatever event that happens, the next event will be whoever versus whoever, in my opinion.
I think your
Yeah,
opinion
I
is
agree.
pretty well taken. Yes, I do agree. Well, that has been our Control Center for July the 15th, 2024 here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling.
WrestleCon Cleveland is coming. Mark your calendars for August 2nd and 3rd. Get ready for 2 days packed with the best in professional wrestling. Meet your favorite wrestling legends and dive into the ultimate fan experience. Plus, enjoy autograph sessions, Q&A panels, and so much more. Don't miss out on this epic weekend at WrestleCon Cleveland. Get your tickets now at WrestleCon.com. WrestleCon Cleveland, where wrestling fandom comes together. August 2nd and 3rd. Be there.
Tell us a little bit about this event coming up, SummerSlam weekend.
Well, listen, if for all my people coming down to Cleveland, you want something to do before Friday Night SmackDown. You want something to do before SummerSlam, and you don't want to do the touristy stuff. You want to do something wrestling. So that's why I can say us at High Spots now, which I'm so hyped about. Us at High Spots are bringing to you a pop-up convention, Destination WrestleCon Cleveland. So before you go to SmackDown, before you go to SummerSlam, you can come to WrestleCon and meet some of your favorite former WWE superstars. We got the Garcia twins coming there Saturday. We got Sting. We got Trish. We got Lito. We got Kevin Nash. We got Tori Wilson. We got Haku, plus many more. Go to WrestleCon.com and get your tickets, and you get to see me, which is also the price worth of admission. But there's going to be a lot more cooler people there. But yes, please come. It's going to be fun. I've never been to Cleveland before. I'm excited to go for the first time.
And hey, you can't beat it. It's $21 each day. And I mean,
exactly.
You probably be paying $21 for parking each day at the stadium to get into SummerSlam. So why not just chop up $21 and hang out for a couple hours at WrestleCon?
In the air conditioning, what's better than that? Come on, people.
Exactly. So let's go to our stunning 6 questions of the week.
Time to ring the bell. As Sean and Ashley debate 6 stunning questions from the week of wrestling. All the whys. And what the hell was that?
Okay, ladies, my very first question for you this week. A lot of backlash has been going on with Stephanie Vaquer's signing with the WWE. I'm asking you, are the fans overcritical of her signing with the company?
I don't see, it's complicated because I feel like there's more information out there than what we know. So I don't want to be like, oh my god, yeah, they're being overly critical when there's possibly other information. But the one thing I will say, and my very good friend Rob Viper, who has done an amazing job covering the story, he had actually we had a conversation about this where usually people when people come from the outside wrestling world to WWE, they're like, who is this? And even in AEW, they're like, who is this? When they announced that Stephanie signed with WWE, you didn't get a who. They knew exactly who she was because of her match at Forbidden Door 2 weeks before. And like I said, maybe there's stuff that we don't know. I have no idea. But Stephanie used her cards to her advantage. She got her dream job in WWE. She's going to do absolutely amazing. Her match against Mercedes was fantastic. I was there live. It was the first time I got to see Stephanie live. And I'm just really happy to see someone who's worked really hard get her flowers. And I just hope that Shawn Michaels and Triple H and everyone can use her correctly. That's my new fear.
That's a very interesting question, and a quite honest fear is her coming into the company and her being used properly. Ashley, do you see Stephanie Vaquer having any issues working in NXT?
Not as long as they let her be herself and do what she does best, which, as Kimmy said, can be kind of a concern sometimes with WWE. We have seen slight improvements with that. But as far as fans being overly critical, I think they're being overly critical that she signed with WWE in general. I mean, if you want to be critical of the way it happened, I could understand that, but like you can't be mad at her for going to a company that she clearly wants to work for and getting paid to do it. That's the point of this. I would say being critical of how she left CMLL hanging and a couple of other promotions hanging on her appearance. You might have some wiggle room there.
Well, see, I kind of agree with Kimmy. We don't know the whole situation. We don't know how the WWE offered this contract to her, where they're willing to let her do these dates, or did they want her to get out of these dates in order to be signed so she could make that super show in Mexico City? So,
well,
honestly,
either way, she did leave them without a champion. So, whoever's call it is, CMLL absolutely has a right to be upset, which, according to most reports, they are.
yes, yeah, I will agree with you on that assessment, Ashley. But I don't blame Stephanie Vaquer for trying to chase her dream and cashing in on the one moment where she's as hot as any talent on the planet, coming off of that match she had with Mercedes Moné. And I honestly believe that match got her on the radar of WWE, and they decided to pull the trigger before Tony Khan could pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I absolutely understand the aggressive pursuit too from WWE because they are down a lot of their top women. Like we just talked about Rhea earlier, they just got her back from injury, but you haven't had Asuka in a while. Becky Lynch is out. You haven't had Charlotte Flair on TV. You know, you're down a lot of people. I feel like we just got Bayley into something after kind of a few months of just kind of laying low after WrestleMania. Like I understand, like you kind of need another person to come in. You don't have, you know, you've even been out Alexa Bliss for months now with, you know, her having a child and taking care of her family. So you're down a lot of top women in WWE, but they still have a pretty.
Also, she's not going to the main roster. She's going to NXT.
True. I don't know. You don't need any women's help in NXT, but they're going to do it to get her acclimated to the WWE style.
She needs to learn the hard cam. They have no hard cams in the CMLL. Come on. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting situation because, you know, Ashley's right. Do they really need the help in NXT? No. They're so oversaturated with women. So that's my fear. Is like you're getting Stephanie and Julia because Julia's also not going straight to the main roster. Julia's going to NXT too. So now what are you getting out of this? They're both going to fight each other for months on end, and then whoever's ready first gets to go to the main roster? Is that how we're going to do this?
Hey, you can sign me up for that. I feel like that would be a good series of matches. And I think, like, what Nick Nevis said on Busted Open Radio is true. I feel like her and NXT surrounded by the machine of the Performance Center is the best thing that could happen for her because she needs to learn English. She has a very limited English understanding. And that's going to be the biggest challenge for her to going forward in WWE. And her being at the Performance Center, then being able to get people there to help her learn English. And for a non-English speaker, learning English is the hardest language on the planet.
Go America for making a very hard language.
Okay, so we're moving on to my second stunning question of the week. And it's a possible other WWE signing, as I'm asking you, is AEW or WWE the better place for the Motor City freaking machine guns?
They have more friends in AEW, but I feel like the WWE tag division also needs something because they are slacking, but also the AEW tag team division is also not doing the best right now because it feels like the Bucks forget that they're tag team champs and they got to actually use their titles. So
Yeah.
I feel like Motor City would be a fresh start, especially, you know, we really don't have a completed Blood or Guts team yet. So maybe seeing them potentially in Blood and Guts, like going face to face with the Bucks. Maybe that leads to the match at All In. Maybe they appear at the end of Blood and Guts after the EVPs win. Something along those lines I think would be really cool. But I think the other thing, like, you also have a Penta who might also be going to WWE. So, like, would you get Motor City Machine Guns and possibly the Lucha Brothers in WWE? Like, that would be a lot. So I would say AEW is the best bet for the Motor City Machine Guns.
to me, there's not a lose situation here. It's a win-win for the Machine Guns. I mean, like if they go to WWE, they can be featured on either Raw or SmackDown. And can you imagine DIY versus the Machine Guns at SummerSlam as for the tag team titles? That would be kind of cool. Or Finn and JD McDonough versus the Machine Guns on Raw. I mean, like, there's two dang good matches. And like you said, they could go to AEW. We could have like the Machine Guns versus Young Bucks and have a rematch from the old TNA days.
That's also true. I don't know. I feel like wrestling's very oversaturated right now. I feel like we need a couple people to leave, a couple people to retire.
I know one tree. I know one tree that could retire.
Oh my god! I think we're thinking of the same tree.
Well, allow me to post this little message from David Brightly, our other co-host. Morning, everyone. WWE, the Bucks don't like good tag teams and won't let have any potential rivals. So David Brightly are firmly against the Young Bucks, and he wants the Machine Guns in WWE.
I feel like both of them are like Kimmy said, they're both struggling in the tag team division right now. I feel like WWE is weird. Like they tend to have a lot of good tag teams and don't use them to their fullest. And I feel like AEW came in like they were like tag team wrestling, like it's all about tag team wrestling, and it was so good. And now for the past few months, it's been probably one of the coldest divisions they have. I mean, I don't know what the Young Bucks are doing with the titles, but like this, like going with the Acclaimed, who have been cold for months, is not it.
Agreed. Not it. We need somebody else to face the Young Bucks for those tag team titles in AEW. And maybe it's the Machine Guns. On to my third standing question of the week. And this was one I saw on your Twitter, Ashley, as you were saying maybe there's a double standard depending on the gender of the professional wrestlers when it comes to blood in wrestling. How do you feel about this?
Oh, it's horrible. I remember when Allie and Penelope did that tag team street fight with Ty and Anna Jay. What feels like 15 million years ago, but I think it was really like 2.5 or 3, and everyone was freaking out over the fact that like Allie was bleeding, or even I know we're gonna talk about Britt later, but even like in the lights out match against Thunder, like Britt was bleeding like crazy. I was like, oh my god, this can't happen. Like, who cares? Like, look at that picture of Tony and Mariah. Like, that's what makes a story. Good
Iconic.
Story. Exactly. Like, good. Like, listen, in my convention world, that is an 8x10. Okay, this is how you make money, is by selling that 8x10 signed by both of them. So thank you for making our lives easier. But like, good storytelling comes from pain, comes from blood. They don't just say blood, sweat, and tears to say blood, sweat, and tears. They say blood, sweat, and tears because that's what makes people intrigued. So I think it is stupid. I don't think we should do that. And I hope Toni Storm is okay. You know, she's crying in that picture. I hope she's had a lovely weekend in her vacation house to get over the fact that her protege turned on her.
And I also see a lot of complaints when people complain about the bleeding, like, oh, it should be purposeful. There should be meaning behind it. This absolutely had meaning behind it, and people were still complaining about, oh, I don't like when the women bleed. It's too much. Like, what do you mean? Like, fights happen, and when you get hit, sometimes you bleed. That's what happens.
What a concept.
You know, honestly, I thought this was a excellent end to Dynamite last week, and they got me. Actually, we were talking about a week ago. I was thinking like, oh, at Forbidden Door, at AEW All in London, it'd be Tony turning on Mariah, and I think a lot of world thought that would be the case, and they flipped it, and we had the turn in Calgary, Canada last week, and Mariah May now is the biggest heel on the female side in AEW.
This was up there with the ending with the Brody Lee squash ending for like Dynamites for me.
I would say Mercedes is kind of a bigger heel than Mariah, but Mariah can come a close second to Mercedes.
Kimmy, fair point. I'll say 1A and 1B. We'll go 1A, 1B here on the heels on the female side for AEW.
Okay. I agree.
Okay, on to the main standing question of the week, and the one that is on the thumbnail of this YouTube video. And my question for you guys is it too soon for MJF versus Will freaking Ospreay?
No, because they needed a big match for 250 Dynamite, and this is the perfect thing. You know, these are two young guys who so many years ago, like, would you say like you would see MJF and Will Ospreay on like wrestling television, like prime time wrestling television? Would you say that like 5 years ago? No, but we get to say it now. I'm intrigued to see what happens. There's a chance that this match doesn't end clean, and my guy rises up from the dead. He feels the left side of his body again, and he costs like, you know, like when they say like Daniel Garcia couldn't feel the left side of his body, I'm like, great. Britt couldn't feel the right side. Daniel couldn't feel the left. Like, I'm just my faves are just breaking apart.
Falling
So-
apart.
Exactly. What the hell is this? So I think that Daniel might get involved so this doesn't end clean, which then leads us to that triple threat at All In. So I don't think it's too soon at all.
Kimmy, you just sent me on the idea for the triple threat, and I was thinking about it. That would be freaking amazing. And let's just get Kimmy down to Jacksonville to become the head writer for AEW now. Kimmy, for head writer, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that triple threat. I'll also take, if we go that route, of the ultra British matchup of Will Ospreay taking on Pac, because I know Pac's been hinting at wanting to challenge for it. I think that's exactly what Kimmy said, that they needed a big match for this big episode. I think they're planning something kind of big, and I think it might have to do with this match. So maybe it will be like the announcement for All In after or something.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the situation. And honestly, 250 is a big number, is one they want to celebrate, and they're still in the middle of their TV negotiation with Warner Brothers Discovery. So why not try to put the best foot forward, showing them that you're putting the best matches on TV, and you can have a funky finish here and not cause either one of these guys to lose a match. So I feel like it's a good idea, and we approve. On to my next standing question for you. And it's something I want to put a milk carton alert out for, and it's Camille. Saying that if Camille eventually gets to AEW, who should we put it with her first?
Athena, 100% Athena. When it was first like rumored, announced that Camille signed, I literally said she should be the one to take title off Athena, because a lot of people remember Camille for being like the NWA Women's World Champion for 15 million days, right? And every time that they would come out with like the PWI Women's List, Camille would always be in the top 10 because she would hold that title for so long, and people would be like, Camille needs exposure. Camille needs to be on TV. The perfect way to do this, if I were to book it, I would have done it for Death Before Dishonor, but clearly it's too late for that. So I would do it on a Battle of the Belts. Athena's like ROH Women's World Champion Open Challenge. Athena cuts a promo saying she's ran through everybody in the Ring of Honor roster. There's no competition left, and she wants someone to step up to her. Camille's entrance, Camille comes out, and Camille beats Athena. Because that means that Camille, who came from NWA, being like the longest reigning NWA Women's Champ of all time, now defeated the longest reigning AEW Ring of Honor Women's Champion of all time. So there's a complete story with that, and it just makes so much sense. So 100% it should be Athena.
Well, I agree with you, and we saw your girl, the Minion Overlord, at Prestige Wrestling on Saturday night. And by some grace of miracle, she was able to walk down the ring, have a perfectly good match with a boot on. And I got to ask you, Kimmy, she used the boot to win the match. You have any issue with that?
No, it's been a really rough time for Athena, right? We have Queen Aminata in Red Velvet trying to say that she's faking her injury, but she wrestled that whole match with a boot on, and she was limping down the entrance ramp. So who do they think they are for calling my champ out for having a fake injury? This is ridiculous. Athena would never lie. Athena would never lie to her minions, would never lie to Billy Starks and Lexi Nair. Athena still needs to have that meeting with Tony Khan to talk about her match in 2 weeks, because how the hell is that going to happen? Queen Aminata is just going to like break her ankle even more. So no, 100% do not have a problem with it. My Minion Overlord is the best. Can we also talk about my friend having her big match on Wednesday against Mercedes Moné, Nyla Rose? Like, hell yes.
I'm so happy they gave that spot to an AEW original for the 250, like everything. Nyla is somebody we don't get to see enough of on TV.
That's what I'm saying. I was so hyped. I was like screaming in my hotel room on Saturday. I'm like, let's go. I texted her. I'm like, okay, I see you, Miss Big Match. And she goes, I know. And I'm like, you deserve it. So
well, my choice to face Camille actually is one of our favorites. I want to see Queen Ayana versus Camille. I feel like that match with freaking bang.
Yeah, honestly, they both tall, very strong, athletic. I can see that happening. Even somebody like we've seen her take on legit Layla Hirsch, so we know. I could even see like Red Velvet sliding in there at first. Red Velvet is someone who is steadily improved over the past few years and is knocking it out of the park now from what I've seen. So I could see her getting in there. I could do like a size versus speed type of thing because Red Velvet is very quick, like maybe on her way up to the championship.
Very true.
There's a big match at DBD versus Billy Starks for the TV Women's title.
Ooh, that'd be good too, Kimmy. On to our sixth and final stunning question this week. And my question to you guys is simple. What is the better feud? Is it Britt Baker versus CEO Mercedes Moné, or is it Mariah May versus Toni Storm?
Britt and Mercedes, hands down. People have wanted this Britt Mercedes match for so long. Literally from the second Mercedes left WWE, everyone was like, Britt and Mercedes, Britt and Mercedes. Britt has wanted this match for so long. So long. If you listen to all of her early interviews where she talks about who inspired her to continue wrestling, it was literally the Bayley Sasha match at NXT Brooklyn 1. And the fact that she's getting this huge match, I'm assuming it's going to be in London, is absolutely insane. You saw a hint of their promos 2 weeks ago, and it was great. And there's just so much you could do with this because Britt was at the top in AEW, and so is Mercedes. And now you're having these two people who have been at the top, who have completed it all, now going head to head, and they're not scared to lay it out on the line. We've all seen a Britt Baker promo. We've all seen a Mercedes Moné promo. They're going to bring everything to the table. This feud is money. I have gone on so many pods to say that if this wasn't happening in London, this should be the first women's main event on a pay-per-view. So I'm really kind of hoping they hold out till All Out in Chicago so they could make that happen. But 100% the better feud is Britt and Mercedes, and there's no one that could convince me otherwise.
Ashley, do you want to take this challenge?
Listen, I get it. I'm definitely hoping they do that match at All In, only because like to hear the dueling DMD CEO chants in Wembley would be insane. And you know me, Sean, I love Dr. Britt Baker at DMD. So I have no problems. But for me, man, I'm so invested in everything Mariah May and Toni Storm have been doing, and this Wednesday like cemented this as like one of my favorite stories that AEW has done. I can't wait to see heel Mariah May this Wednesday.
Honestly, I feel like these are 1A and 1B, and I feel like this is a great golden hour for AEW's women's division. And Ashley, can you believe?
Thank you, Miss Peppermint.
Can we believe we're saying AEW women's wrestling golden era? Can you imagine this 5 years ago, Ashley?
No, and I mean even this week, like I know it can kind of have some rough spots, but we even kind of reignited Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo as like another kind of big feud on AEW television for the women. Like this is
Deonna
good stuff for the women's division.
Deonna just needs to get rid of her. Like, I don't understand why Thunder keeps having these problems with her. Deonna is 2-1 up in the feud. All right? We need to be done with this. I need Deonna and Britt to go after Mercedes. This is what I need. This is what I want. Hell, he even had Britt and Deonna just take out Thunder. Let's do it.
I think we might only have to hold off just for a little bit until because I don't think Britt Baker is going to be a heel, and we just turned Deonna like full heel. But Britt Baker, I think, is kind of a natural heel, but with her like having like the injury and all of the issues and coming back, I don't see anybody booing her for a while.
Can we talk about the fact I had no idea that happened, and I texted her agent and I was like, hello? And he goes, yeah, it was pretty bad. And I go, thanks for telling me. You know, here I am, scared as hell over here.
Between her and Adam Cole, like, oh my god. Like,
I know.
what are you guys doing?
What's going on in what's going on in that family? Jeez.
Well, Kimmy, before we go from this question, I will say the promo that Deonna Purrazzo had this past week was amazing, and it was kind of like a reset on her. And please, dear Lord, let's push Deonna Purrazzo because she's freaking talented, and we need more women wrestling and wrestlers up the card. And Deonna should be one of the top 4 people in this freaking company.
Yeah, this is where I get like kind of conflicted with Deonna, and I feel like she's kind of gonna get lost in the shuffle here because I firmly believe that Britt's gonna lose to Mercedes. There's no reason why Britt should beat Mercedes since she just won the TBS title. That breaks my heart. I know I'm picking against Britt. I must be like dying or something that I'm doing that. And then you're gonna have Mariah beat Tony and All In, right? Like this is the vision I see, and you're not gonna have like Deonna beat Mariah when she just wins the title. You're not going to have Deonna beat Mercedes. So I feel like she's going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit. I understand this Thunder feud's kind of like a placeholder, but you know, there's a Ring of Honor women's division, Deonna. If you want to wrestle every week, you can go have fun down there if you want to win a title or something. But yeah, it's just this is where it gets conflicting of where to put people, which is why I firmly believe that AEW is just such an oversaturated roster. And they're like, what do we do with these people? Oh, I don't know.
Exactly. I feel like they need twice as much TV they already have, and I don't think they could book twice as much TV if they actually had it.
True. And I mean, that's why, like, it would be so hard. Like, we talked about, like, the free agents that are out there right now. Like, you'd have to project them into a spot that's probably already been set for somebody, and that pushes people back for months, you know?
Very true, Ashley. So we're going to end the 76 questions this week on Radio Free Professor Wrestling, and allow me to do this.
It's time for Bell to Bell on More Music Radio. David the Smart Mark, he's the king of the wrestling talk, so get ready to acknowledge him. Acknowledge him! He plays your favorite themes, breaks down the news. Bell to Bell is the best wrestling show on British radio. More music, grit your teeth and knuckle up. It's time to ring that bell. It's clobbering time. It's time for Bell to Bell on More Music Radio. David the Smart Mark, he's the king of the wrestling talk, so get ready to acknowledge him.
Yes, it's our friend, my co-host of Radio Free Professor Wrestling. David Bradley is his radio show based out of lovely Peterborough, England. It's each and every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern East Coast time. Go check it out. It's a very fun 2 hours on your Sunday afternoon. And me and Ashley are going to be on this week's show and our normal segment, and we're talking about John Cena's possible future, who he should face. But right now, we're going to give you what to look forward to in this week in Professor Wrestling as we present you On Tap.
What's on tap? The guys give you their picks on what you can't miss this week.
Have Will Ospreay versus MJF for the international title. We all agree that this is going to be a DQ kind of non-finish for this to set up a future meeting.
The only way I do not see it going clean is if they're gonna have MJF win, and then they're somehow gonna turn this into like MJF, like if they're gonna if they have their TV rights like kind of like done and we just don't know that, like I could see them having Max win and then like Max being the one to announce like, oh my god, look at our new TV deal, because you have the person that inked themselves with this AEW tattoo, like AEW for lifer type thing, like announcing your TV rights. I could see them doing something like that, but I hope my guy decides to resurrect from the dead, because like what the hell is this? Daniel could never get his moment.
I know exactly. Justice for Daniel Garcia. That's all we're saying. Justice for Daniel Garcia.
Dead ass. I have to start liking new people on AEW. All my people are just like, the fuck.
Yeah, exactly. You need to become like Stokely Hathaway and have yourself a little stable.
I really do. I need, like, clearly my Daniel Garcia Britt Baker group is not working out too well. I need to add more people. I'll add Kyle Fletcher in there. He's a good dude. I worked with him a couple months ago. He was pretty nice. He's very tall.
Okay, on to the other thing I want to point out about AEW Dynamite. We're getting Swerve Strickland versus Okada on free TV. So, thank you, Tony Khan.
I think this is going to be the whoever wins this match gets the advantage in Blood and Guts, which is why they did it. So I think Okada is going to win this one because the heels always get the advantage in these types of matches. But Okada's not going to win clean. Like, someone's going to help Okada win.
I got a feeling that it's going to be Heyman Adam Page that helps Okada win this match. And you're right, Kimmy. The better story to tell is the heels have the advantage. That's how these war game type matches work the best.
Yeah, and if it is somebody like Hangman who comes out to make the save, it'll be interesting with the tension that Hangman and Okada had this past week when Hangman went to see the Elite.
Very true. And the final thing, the second to final thing that we are going to preview is Mercedes Moné's TBS Open Challenge. And I do believe, Kimmy, that your best friend is going to answer this call.
Yes, it was shown on Collision this past weekend that Nyla Rose has accepted the Open Challenge. I am so excited. We talked about this before. Giving it to an AEW original on episode 250, I feel like is so important. Nyla has been killing in a Ring of Honor. I believe the only loss she has on Ring of Honor TV is actually to Athena in their 2 out of 3 Falls Tables match. So she's been getting a lot of momentum. So I definitely think she deserves it. It should be a fun match. I'm excited for her to get the opportunity. I'm putting her over. This is a very big moment in time here. But yeah, this is a big match for her. I'm really excited for it. And I hope that she definitely shows out and shows Little Rock, Arkansas what Nyla Rose is made of.
Yeah, and I like them announcing it a few days ahead of time and not leaving it till Wednesday night on like an open challenge, because we know how fans are and they'll get their hopes up for somebody. But like now, like you said, we have an original, we have somebody coming in for like this huge episode of Dynamite that should be on TV more because she's fantastic. So happy to see it. And Mercedes' tweets about this have been pretty funny if you haven't seen them yet.
Oh my god, yes. Nyla had like tweeted the video of her when she stole the TBS title from Jade, and then Mercedes like, delete this right now. But yeah, this should be a fun one. I'm excited, especially like with the character work from Nyla and Mercedes. They could do some fun things in this match. I really hope they get the opportunity to do it.
I agree. I feel like this is going to be a great showcase for Nyla Rose, and I'm just happy that I gave it to a AEW original and didn't have a one night somebody come in special and we don't get any follow-up from it. I feel like this is a good place to take Nyla in, have a good showing, then we spin her off to another feud. And the last thing we're going to preview is this Saturday night. We have Slammiversary, and it's the TNA World Title match. It's Joe Hendry, Nick Nemeth, Josh Alexander, Steve Macklin, Frankie Kazarian, and the champion, Moose. I gotta say, I'm looking forward to this. It's been a long time since I've been looking forward to a TNA title match.
So I didn't realize before I just got off the phone with Ella like an hour and a half ago that there's only 5 matches announced for Slammiversary this weekend, which is kind of weird because TNA usually has like 10 matches per pay-per-view, but we have a couple days for the go-home show. This should be a good one. I get kind of scared when there's like more than 4 people in a match because it can get kind of hectic. But I definitely do not think Moose is walking out here. I don't think they're gonna give it to Hendry. I definitely could see like Nemeth picking up the win, but like they're not gonna pin Moose. They're gonna like pin Kazarian because Kazarian can take a loss.
Well, I do believe this is an elimination match, so I think Miss can get pinned here. And like you think, Kimmy, I think Nick Nemeth is your choice. If it's not Nick Nemeth, check you out for Joe Hendry because everybody believes in Joe Hendry.
See, but the fear I have with that though is like if they, so obviously they're gonna do like obviously the thing we're leading to with NXT is Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page, right? That's the match we're going to lead to No Mercy. Who the hell do you have lose that match? You know, it leads to some really complicated things. So I don't think they're gonna do that for that reason.
I agree with you because that would be a title versus title, and nobody wants their world champion to lose to another company's world champion because it's bad for the company. So I do agree with you, Kimmy. Kimmy, tell me everything you want to talk about WrestleCon Cleveland.
Yes, I'll be there. And so will all those people on the poster plus more. I mean, you got Sting, you got Trish, you got Tori, you got Lita, you got Mickey, you got the Hardys, the Dudleys, Lawler, Angle, Nash, Garcia, so much more. Like I said, if you're looking for something to do for SummerSlam, looking for something to do for Friday Night SmackDown, head over to Destination WrestleCon Cleveland. All the information's at WrestleCon.com. You get your tickets. The hotel where WrestleCon Cleveland's at is also on there, and our entire guest list, because the entire guest list is obviously not on that poster because we couldn't fit everybody. But yeah, it should be a fun event. It's a pop-up show. Obviously, it's not as big as Philly, but it is something for the fans to do. Like I said, before SmackDown, before SummerSlam. Because why would you do all the touristy Cleveland stuff when you could just stick to your wrestling-themed Cleveland vacation?
Exactly, Kimmy. And look at this poster. I mean, like, there's this so much wrestling history here. And how many times are you going to get all these people in one location where you can actually do this?
Exactly. Especially in Cleveland. What does Cleveland do? Their sports teams can't even win a title.
Very true. They haven't won a title since you've been born. So fair point, Kimmy. Fair point. So, my friend Kimmy, where can we find you around the Super Information Superhighway?
You can find me on Twitter at Kimmy_Sokol. You can find me on Instagram at Kimmy.Sokol. But if you want to see all the fun stuff I get to write about, I'm pretty sure I'll be doing a Slammiversary preview show. If I'm not doing anything Saturday, you'll probably get a review out of me. All my coverage from Forbidden Doors on there. Obviously, with SummerSlam coming up, I'm going to do a bunch of coverage on that. So if you want to see all that stuff, head to the popbreak.com to see all the things I get to write. And of course, thank you all for having me. I've had a wonderful time here.
It's always fun to have you. But before we say goodbye, Ashley, come on down and tell us where we can find you on this information superhighway.
I am usually on Twitter. It's at groovy_ash_. And then on the side here, I got a couple of socials. And on my Twitter, a link to all my others.
And of course, let me tell you about the show. You can find the show on Twitter at RadioFreePW, on Instagram at RadioFreePW. And if you have liked this live stream video presentation of Radio Free Professional Wrestling, hit that like bell, subscribe. We're here each every week to give you the best and worst in professional wrestling. And once a month, Kimmy Sokol comes on to help us out, and it's always fun to have Kimmy Sokol on the show. So, ladies, until we see you next time on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, everybody have a stunning week, and we'll see you right back here next week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling.